Oh, hello, hello, hello. It's Christine from CLAldridge Art, and look at what arrived in my mailbox today. The Amazon folks actually tapped on my door to let me know that these were there, and they are the proofs for my new book, which explains this not for resale stripe across the front. So these are basically my author copies, and I am so excited. This is quite possibly the most beautiful book I have ever drawn. The cover is just, Virginia just did the best job on this cover. I've been wanting to use a black cover for I don't know how many books, and I finally got to do it on this one, and it is simply gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. Look at that shine. Oh, the colors are just fantastic. At any rate, I wanted to do a quick flip through of the brand new book that I just released. Now, I realize that I did put up a musical version, but personally I think that there's nothing better than looking at it with the artist and hearing what's going on. So, crack that spine, and here we go. All my books are, of course, published through KDP, which used to be CreateSpace. They are all printed on 60-pound bright white paper, which is what this is. And you've watched me do it. I could use pencils, markers, water media, you name it. I can use it in this book. You just have to teach yourself how to do it. Title page, of course. This is I've done two versions of this cat. This is the one that has the markings on the face. And so there's a colorable title page. And then inside, of course, is the copyright information. That is important. The thumbnails, these are in this book so that for those who want to look at it on Amazon, these 3 pages do come up on the look inside the book feature. This book has 5 bonus pages, but it features 7 drawings, 1 from each of my previous books. Normally my books have 24. This one has 26 original images, because I also included 2 blank frames that can either be used for a photograph or a scrapbook page, or you can draw your own design in there, but we'll look at the big ones of those. All my other books, pardon me, my dedication. This one, of course, is dedicated to all of the colorists who do bring such joy to my life every day. But this one is also dedicated to Anne of A Colorful Life for introducing me to the extraordinary world of YouTube videos, as well as her generous and gracious spirit in reaching out to independent artists. Thank you, Mama Fruit Bat. And on we go. Title page, or not title page, but the This Book Belongs To page. Page 1 of the drawings. This seems like it was so long ago that I drew this. There are some beautiful colorings of this out there, and but it is page 1 of the book. Page 2 is, of course, the most recent drawing, which no one's even seen a picture of yet, because I haven't put them anywhere. But this is page 2. Page 3 is a wreath. Again, you can use it like a frame, or you can, if you look at the, well, I'll show it to you here. The colored version of this, where Carol has added her own bows inside. It's just beautiful. These are, it's a Gobert daisy wreath. This is, it looks complicated, but when it's colored, like all of my drawings, it is absolutely gorgeous. but I'll let you, the colorists, work that out for yourselves. It is one of my floral designs, very symmetrical. This is the cat without the markings, and of course what he's trying to do is hide in the flowers, hide underneath the flowers, but like my cat, he's too big to do that. So I love the way that his eyes turned out, or her eyes turned out. As you can see, I do leave plenty of room in the margins, so you can either run an X-Acto knife and cut the pages out, or you can reach in. I've also changed, by the way that I sign all of these, so that it's just a little, my initials down here in the bottom. This is the one that I did the drawing video on, where I showed you the drawing with tools for this part, and the drawing with freehand for all of this part. This one is called Bee Paradise, and of course it's got lots of honeybees and flying around the flowers. This one was inspired by one of those old perfume bottles that are all ornate and jeweled on the front. I was looking at photographs of those, and as I did, this is what I drew that day. Another vase. Actually, this one's the teapot. There have been some gorgeous versions of this colored. People will put their own designs. That's why I leave these blank, and I want you to add your own touch, whether it's initials or a design or an overall pattern of some sort. Shade it, make it sparkle, do whatever you want to it. Beautiful butterfly up here. This was an odd drawing for me. I don't usually draw things like this, but I was simply inspired by a gilded bird cage. Felt like drawing something that could be colored gold and have beautiful roses, and that led to a where is it? It's on a balcony, and the balcony is overlooking the hills, and there are birds flying. This one is called, because the cage is open, it's called Flying Free, because the beautiful birds that were in the cage are now, of course, flying free. These are, I always intend these as gemstones, for you to color as gemstones. And if you want a great place to study how to color gemstones, be sure to check out Vitruvian Art. Rose Rambo is absolutely a gem master. This one is Berries and Vines, and these can be any kind of berries you want. In my mind, I had always pictured them as being some sort of shade of blues, but I've seen them colored as strawberries, again with jewels. I wanted this one to be very ornate. If you look at the musical video, there's a beautiful version of this that was colored by Till Van Rude Schneiderwind. I want to say she is from Sweden, but I'm not positive of that. This, of course, is the cover image, and it is, Virginia just outdid herself on this one. Just outdid herself. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love that she did the black background with the dots, the Posca paint dots, and all the beautiful shading. It can be any color background you want. In the video, there's one with no background that was colored by Cindy Hitch. This is the drawing that I drew for the Colorful Life coloring group back when it existed, and it was based on a story that Anne had told about some vines that she was cutting down in her backyard, and she suddenly realized that they were covered with little caterpillars that would turn into butterflies. So she quickly saved all of the little caterpillars, picked them off of the vines she had cut, and put them back onto the vines that were alive so that they could continue to eat and grow and become butterflies. And so that inspired this drawing. There are 4 caterpillars hidden here in the vines. This one was actually inspired by Dee Dee, and it was about, Dee Dee, a lot of her art has planets and things. So as I was drawing this, I kept thinking of black holes and, the galaxy skies. So in my mind, this has a black background with stars and these planets showing through and these weird viney things where planets are breaking off. I've always been fascinated by the idea of something out there creating planets and, like pooping them out. The planet pooping machine. At any rate. Because the universe is always expanding, they say. So something is making it expand. So the coloring possibilities on this are endless. I was studying orchids, actually, and this whole series of drawings sort of popped into my pens. Excuse me. And so these are all, they're not intended to be orchids. They're intended to be designs inspired by orchids. So this is the first one, and some of you may have seen this colored in red, white, and blue. Virginia, my cover artist, did a version of this in July in red, white, and blue for the holiday, and it was beautiful. Here's the second one, and of course this is supposed to be rain. Again, we've got gemstones. Here's another one. This one was inspired by dragons and trolls. And I will explain that. I was looking at, simultaneously, dragons and trolls. Pictures of dragons and trolls. And this came out of my pen. So now I've got orchids and dragons and trolls going, swimming around in my brain. So we have a orchid shape, my version of an orchid shape. He's got horns. He's got eyes. He's got a grumpy face, like a troll, which is, the droopy mustache. He's got a tongue, and, at any rate, the name of this one is called Fierce Dragon, and it's actually gorgeous colored. I can hardly wait to see what people do with this, but in my head and in my Etsy shop, it's called Fierce Dragon. So it can, of course, be whatever you see, but I saw a Fierce Dragon troll. And this was a marquee design that I've always been fascinated by the Art Deco era and Art Nouveau. And so I like to sort of cross them up into my own work, and that's what this is. Now this is an asymmetric design, and so it's only got the flowers peeking out of one side. Feel free, if you want to balance it out by putting something over here, as you can always do in any of my drawings. You may add things. It doesn't bother me at all. Just, make sure that you note that it's my design and that you added it. This is stunning colored. I have to say that this was such fun for me to draw. It from a drawing standpoint, it was a fairly simple thing to do, but it's got so many possibilities, and it is simply stunning when it's colored beautifully. And once again, I normally lean away from inking them up, but every once in a while you just have to. And so I've got, tons of pointillism. I've done a lot of shading here in the corners. I did, fairly black in the inside, but tons and tons of gemstones, metals, or any colors you want. This is truly a mandala, and I like to include a couple of them in all of my books for people that enjoy the round mandala. But then, of course, I had to zhuzh it up with some metal bindings and whatever you see back here for the background. Could be stainless steel panels, it could be wood, it could be a rainbow, could be whatever it is that you, the colorist, see. Here I went a little complicated. This is the most detailed of all the drawings. I do try and mix them up, so I've got simple and complicated in my books. Tons and tons of tiny spaces in this one. So it is primarily a mandala on the inside, but then of course around the outside there's just lots of ornate gemstones, inked in grayscale, that kind of thing. But it is a beautiful drawing when it's colored. Absolutely gorgeous, if I do say so myself. And here is one more that I set inside a frame, Lots of gemstones. Once again, flowers, just sort of an abstract flower. Bookmarks, because one can never have too many bookmarks, I don't think. I tried to make them the size of the kind of bookmark that you get in the Barnes & Noble, and these are beautiful colored. There is a picture of a colored version of these also in the musical video. Here are those two frames. Here's the first one, and here is the second one. Now, once again, there is plenty of room to reach in there, as you can see. Then there's a full set of the craft greeting card size in the book. I won't go through each of those, but you can just sort of see how those are formatted. Even at this size, they are not too small to color. I have in fact tested all of that out. Even the super ornate ones. Here you can see I left out, pardon me, some of the exterior framing, because that really did make it too small. These are also the perfect size for paperbacks, if you want to color those and put them in a paperback. Then there are bonus pages from each of my books. Now, I did change out these bonus pages from the last one, so that you're not, I know that there are some artists who keep putting the same bonus pages in, but I like to change them out. So since we recently colored this one, in the Inktense video, I went ahead and included it from my first book, Flowers and Dreams. This one is from my second book, Flower Inspirations. This one was the cover image that I used on the travel size book as well. These are two that I have adapted. This one is from Flowers and Flyers, and you may recognize this image as one that Zucchini Kitty colored recently on a video. Then this is a beautiful mandala that is in the mandala book that I did called Flowers and Whimsy. Then I did go ahead and include, this is the only one that is a duplicate, and I'm going to go ahead and put this drawing as a bonus page in most of my books, mostly because this phrase means an awful lot to me. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another. And, you know, I like to think that drawing coloring books is something that I do that is useful to people. And if I can't be useful, then I don't really have any point in being. You know, it's not like I have a lot of family that counts on me for anything. So coloring books are my offering to the world, and perhaps just sort of a positive attitude all the time. Those are the two things I can give, and so that's what I will. And this one is from my book, Flowers of Wonder. And I need to get a copy of this because I really need to show that book to you guys. That book needs some love. And by the way, this was from Flowers of Fantasy. This is from Flowers of Wonder. And this is one, you may recognize it from a video that I did where I showed you fabric and gift wrap and things like that that have been made from my art. This is one of the images that the way that we did the fabric is that a lady colored these, and then she gave me a copy of her digitized coloring, and I pulled it apart digitally and rearranged the pieces into a pattern that would repeat on fabric so that she could have a fabric pillow out of it. And that's how all those pillows came into being, from one lady's coloring of this, and she wanted a pillow. And so, since she couldn't do it herself because it's my art, I said I'd do it for her, and then asked if I could use her coloring on other products. So it worked very well for us. This is also from the latest book, which was my last release, Fantasy Flower Garden. And I don't have a copy of this one either. This is the first little mouse, and there's a flip through of this book, both on A Colorful Life. If you look in the June, I think it was June 20th, there's a flip through of it. And then recently, Dev Wilcox over at The Modernist Colorist did a lovely flip through of this book, so you can see those pages. There's also a musical flip through here on my channel. Just look in my playlists under flip throughs. Then, as ever, I put a blank page for color testing, and then my ad page, which shows all of my past books. And that is the last page. Now there are 5 additional pictures that were originally slated to go in this book. But when I was contacted by Color On magazine, I don't keep an awful lot of drawn inventory in stock that I can then license out. I pretty much include it in a book or in my Etsy shop as soon as I finish the drawing. So I ended up having to give them pictures that were slated for this book. So I can show you them, but in order to get these particular ones, you have to get either Color On magazine or wait until February. Either one of those two things. So here is the first one. And you may have seen these. They after the magazine came out, these appeared on Facebook quite a bit. People subscribe to the magazine. You can still get the magazine, by the way. the September edition through the Etsy shop for Color On magazine. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. And the fourth one. And the fifth one, which is part of the orchid series. So if the this was the Bubble Maker orchid, and I just love this because it has, you know, bubbles, and then of course it's pooping bubbles, or oh, what do you call that? Shooting bubbles out into the universe. I thought that was fun. So at any rate, those 5 drawings are in the featured artist section of the September issue of Color On magazine, if you'd like to get those. And you can. The magazine is very reasonably priced. You can also subscribe to it for a reasonable price. You can subscribe annually or in 3-month increments, 6 months, 2 years, whatever you want. It's a darling magazine. At any rate, thank you for watching my flip through my new book. I am so proud of it, and it is just beautiful. I hope you like it too. It is available on Amazon. I will put a link in and to the PDF version in my Etsy shop. And until we meet again, color something pretty. Thanks.